Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Good morning.
Let me let a couple people in here. Bam, 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 bam. Good to see you. Good to see you, Mitch. Good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for being here.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here. So mute yourself if you're not muted, just so we can't hear you. I think I got a couple people covered there. Awesome. But I'm very excited. We're going to get started here. I show 8:31, so we like being prompt both for our guests as well as you. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mitch. Mitch is actually, I'm going to let him edify himself a little bit. I know he's humble and he's not going to put it all out there for you, but Mitch is absolutely one of the leaders of the company. I believe you came from the corporate side even, and now you've got a large organization on top of that, and a lot of inside information in terms of how to build an organization. And that's what this call is, Mitch. We do it every week, and we highlight a guest, and then we get into live dials, actually. So I make live dials, they could listen, or I encourage them to make live dials and come back with objections and do some role-playing stuff. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Mitch. And Mitch, thank you for being here with us today. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Sure, my pleasure. You know, I love doing this stuff. This is all I do. I do this and eat bonbons. It's a pretty fun life.
That's the truth. So I know you're a humble guy, but brag on yourself for 30 seconds. Tell us your background. Tell us what you've done, what you've accomplished, and where you're at and where you're going.
Sure. So chronic entrepreneur. I've owned 23 companies over the last 42 years. I was first online dating service. I was the third paintball business. I've owned 23 companies. So if you need dating advice, or if you want to get shot with a paintball, I'm pretty good with that stuff.
That's a very, those things go together so well.
Yeah, because eventually you're going to shoot your spouse with a paintball gun. Don't use a real gun. And and then I lost a small fortune in 2000 with the online dating service. We lost $80 million. It was a bad day. It was a bad couple of days, and then everybody's like, "Get your real estate license." I'm like, "I don't like realtors. Why would I do that?" And then my buddy Joe boss said, "Look, I know you're struggling," because I was really totally broke. And he said, "Get your license. We'll buy some properties. I'll pay for them. We'll split them. We'll split the profits and stuff." So I got my license, and I just thought real estate was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. I sold 36 homes my first year without knowing one person here, 50 my second year, 80 my third year, 80 my fourth year. Then started my brokerage in 2005 and ran that through 2017. And, and when I turned 55 and during 2016, when I made the decision to start looking at moving to EXP with my brokerage, we had 120 agents. And, contrary to what people believe, you don't make any money as a broker. I mean, my best year I made a couple $100,000. I always made more than that selling houses. And we went to sell the company, which is always a fun thing to sell a real estate company. I got offered $3.5 million, which was great. And when you get down to the final terms, you go, heck no. They give you a little money the first year, a little money the second year, final payments the third year, which is 70% of the money based on the retention of the original 120 agents at that time. So I said no. I won't swear what I really said to them because I'm a nice guy and there's women on the call. So in the end of November, December of 2016, I let go of 50 agents, went down to 65, and then called Jason Guessing. I said, "Are you going to be at Inman in New York?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Can I meet you?" He goes, "Yes." Now, this is the fourth time I've met Jason. And I later found out from Jason that he did not want to meet me because he knew I was just going to say no again. Because the problem back then, we had 2,800 agents and nobody had ever joined. No big brokers ever joined.
Right.
And so we met. My biggest issue was my branding. Tropical Realty was a big brand down here. And he said, "Just be Tropical Realty, brokered by EXP."
And what's your market? Where are you at?
We were in Melbourne, Cocoa Beach, Space Center.
Okay.
Brevard County, Florida. Okay. So good size market. There's about 5,200 realtors in Brevard County. 10% of them are with EXP, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we switched over in June of 2017. Well, first I had to get it by my wife. And Randy, you've met my wife. She's only 4'9". So
yeah.
So it's really tough to get things by her because she's scary. But we actually sat down and we looked at the model, and she was trying to comprehend me giving it away after we just got off at 3.5 million. And I said to her, I said, look, if this does what I think it's going to do, which by the way, our anniversary was June 1st, 5 years. If it does what I think it's going to do in the next 5 years, we could retire in 5 years.
Interesting.
If it doesn't do what I think it's going to do, then I'll just start Tropical Realty again. We have nothing to lose. And that was what we came up with. What do we have to lose? In fact, if you type in, this is really good if you're talking to husband and wife teams or husbands that work a lot or wives that work a lot. If you go to my YouTube channel and type in Mitch, Ribak, Jeanette, my wife's name is Jeanette. There's a great video that Renee Funk's interviewing my wife as the spouse of an EXP person.
Oh yeah. Okay. When was that? When was that video?
We did that probably about a year ago.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
Inside look at the life and times.
Well, it's what it did for our family. So, back then, I'll be honest, I was a terrible husband. I was a terrible grandfather. I was completely involved in my business, and that was it. So even when I was home, I was never present. And now I leave. I work 40 hours a week, 35, 40 hours a week. Now I've not worked this much, literally my entire life, except when I had the paintball business. That was only a couple days a week. And but literally the past 30 years, I've worked 80 to 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And now I work 35, 40 hours a week. I play the rock band with my grandkids. I play baseball 4 days a week with my grandson, and I'm a pretty good husband. I don't cheat on her. I don't cheat on her anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I know, but it's a powerful statement about being present now, though, because a lot of us, when we think of a 40-hour week, that seems like half time compared to some of our entrepreneur careers. And that leads to the problem with EXP is how do they balance the production life that they may be having that may be out of control or crazy, and they really want this other this other revenue stream that provides time and financial freedom, but it's the balance of the two. And that's where I think a leader like you might be able to really shed some light on how you built, right? You were in that environment. How did you build to get more time and financial freedom, and the nuggets that can help them along the way?
So we switched over with 40 people in 2017. The first 18 months, I sucked at it. I was, even with my brokerage to 120, I never recruited in my life. I still don't consider myself a recruiter. I've yet to pick up the phone and call anybody to recruit personally.
Okay. Right.
And I do everything based on contribution. But then what I did is I flew around the country and I met with Gene, I met with Brent, I met with AJ, I met with Rob Flick, I met with everybody who was killing it. And the one thing in common they did, and this thing that stuck out the best, is become a professional inviter and invite them to three-way calls. If you follow the system, it works phenomenally. And that means you have relationships. You all have relationships with people that you do business with or realtors that you know. We all know a lot of realtors. You make a list of everybody you know. I know you've heard that before. But the one thing that I don't think anybody talks about is rank that risk based on relationship. So I did this just out of being an entrepreneur when I started. I made a list, and Jeff and Renee Funk are really good friends of mine. They were the first people I talked to at an event, and they're like, "You mean there's an exit strategy?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so and then they joined, but I still wasn't doing it right. I mean, I did okay, by the way. I went from, I think at the end of my first year, I added 200 agents. So it wasn't like I sucked at it.
Right, that's respectable.
But it wasn't my vision for my growth. Although I did say at the end of 5 years, if I hit 1,000 agents, I would be able to retire. And of course, we'll hit 1,900 this probably today or tomorrow.
Right.
So I blew that out the door. So sorry, my phone keeps ringing and texting. Everybody wants me. And then
What they do.
Look at this. This is so attractive. I'm very attractive to 80-year-old women. It's really cool. I get hit all the time. Like, Sonny boy,
Yeah, Sonny boy. It's that little Boston draw you have there.
Exactly. Yeah, I still pack my car. But so the takeaways are the things, if you want to learn a couple things today that are important, is the number one thing is actually do it. Everybody I know is preparing to prepare.
Yeah.
And when you prepare,
ready, aim.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I have so many agents, and I have other agents that won't listen to me on how to follow the system, be a professional inviter, get them to watch the video, whether it's Brent's or mine. I have one called checkoutthemodel.com, completely different styles. I mean, I'm a little different. Obviously, Brent's taller than me. I think I'm actually funnier than he is, though, but that's besides the point. But we have, we have different styles, and but whatever video, but get them to watch a video. I won't even do an appointment if they don't watch the video.
Yeah.
Because then I'm explaining EXP and I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, correct.
My job is to find out why EXP is the right fit for them. So when I do my three-way calls, I don't talk about it's an $85 split, a $16,000 cap. If I have to do that, I've literally canceled calls in the middle of my call because I didn't watch the video. I can sit here and explain EXP for the next hour.
Good for you.
That's not going to help.
I think that's a takeaway for everybody on the call, because if you can't get them to that stage, you're not ready for the leader yet. That's your position, is to get them to watch that video through the relationship or the
100%.
leverage of the relationship.
And so how do you do that? There's a lot of ways of getting them to watch the video. One of the jokes I tell my agents to make, and it does, most of them don't do it, but it works really well when they do it, is when you're in the middle of a transaction, we all do transactions, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the middle of a transaction, just say, hey, how come you haven't joined EXP yet? How simple is that? So I have one of my agents who's recruited 5 people in the last year just doing that.
Interesting.
And he only does like 10 transactions a year. So it's not like he's got like 50% rate on that, right?
Yeah.
So, but get them to watch the video. The other way you can get people to watch the video, especially if you're newer with us or you haven't done it yet, reach out to that relationship, people that you have, the people that you love and respect, and they love you and they like you, and say, could you do me a favor? I know this probably isn't for you, but will you do me a favor and watch this video for me? And I really want you to poke as many holes in it as possible. So when I talk to other agents, I know what the objections are. Simple, right?
Yep. It sounds simple, right?
It is simple. And because they're your friends. We all have friends in the business, right? And it starts with one. And one agent, by the way, that caps pays your MLS due and board dues, pays your EXP dues. One agent that caps. Just one.
Wow.
So it's a huge, so all of a sudden now you're working for free with as far as boards and EXP goes, right? It's a huge difference. And I didn't get that till, I don't know, a year ago. I was doing an event. One guy came to me, yeah, I got my first person. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. Good job. And it really humbled me really quickly. He goes, no, you don't get it. He goes, now I have no dues anymore. I'm like,
right, there you go.
And I was like, I learned something. I can still learn stuff as an old guy. Although I don't consider my old, I just look like shit. 27 looking like a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
So that's where to start, become and have that mindset of a professional advisor. The more you talk, the less chance you have of them joining. Right. So because what are you doing? You're talking at them.
Right.
You're not listening. So I'll give you an example. One of my agents, Walter, who I love to death, 5 years, he brought on 2 people. He's probably had 30 conversations.
Okay.
Right? And his conversations were, he calls me, yeah, I just talked to so-and-so, and yeah, we went out to Bonefish and had, we're having drinks for 2.5 hours. And I told her all about EXP. I'm like, and they never join.
Yeah.
And they never join because you're talking at them.
What do you know about them?
Nothing.
Right.
And my job as a three-way party guy, as one of the leaders, is to really dissect that person and understand what part. So I'll give you an example. If they're a newer agent, we're going to talk about education, collaboration, all that stuff. They want to build a team, or they have a small team, they want to get bigger. We're going to talk about collaborating with some of the biggest and best teams in the country. If there's someone like me who's an entrepreneur, we're talking about revenue share and recruiting. If they're a typical agent, I never use the word rev share and I never use the word recruit. I use, here's my line. If you introduce 2 people a year to the company over the next 3 years, and those people all introduce just one, that's up to $36,000 a year in referral fees. They get that. If you said, if you recruit 2 people a year over the next 3 years, and they all recruit one, that's up to $36,000 in revenue share, they'll never join. I learned that the hard way. My first started doing this, my close rate was about 25%.
Okay.
And when I learned how to do this, about 90% now.
Wow, that's a massive number. So you've got a lot of people on here that are obviously very inspired by rev share and see the opportunity, but just can't get the momentum, can't get over the hump. There's some rock stars on here as well, Simone, and we have some others that are consistently committed to raising the bar in their businesses. But what would you say would be a great starting point, kind of like step 1, 2, 3 for somebody on the call that's like, you know what, this is the day I changed my life. This is the day that I do this, and I'm going to start based on our conversation. What's a couple steps for them?
Yeah. So again, make the list.
Okay.
Call the list. There's only 2 steps. There really isn't any. So there's a great book by Tim Grover called Relentless.
Yeah.
He was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's trainer. And it's got 13 things that are all the thing you have to do today. But the one that stuck out to me the most was do the work. You're going to screw it up. That's just the reality. That's why I always tell you to talk to your friends, right, first, because you can screw up with your friends.
Right.
And I don't cold call anybody. I don't personally recommend it. I don't like it. I don't do it. I'm not going to do it. I build relationships. So how do I build relationships? I do events every 2 months locally. Every time I do an event, 2, 3, 4, 5 people join. We had 3 people the other day join from our last event. 2 were $20 million producers, which is great.
And the events are real estate related, value based, right?
Value based, right? So plug in. So I'll give you an example. And I don't, and you guys are welcome to plug into this. We do it every week with my group. We do a top producer panel. We have myself. We have Matt Battiati, who's #1 in the company for sales. We have Carlos Gutierrez, #2 in the company for sales. We have Pete Middleton, who's one of the rock stars in the company.
Love Pete.
Luxury guy. Myself, which I really can't figure out why I'm on there, but we have about 8 to 10 of us on there at any given time. And there's no mention of EXP. It's all contribution based.
I love it.
And
when
the
is
last
that?
3 people, that's every Thursday at noon. Immediately when I get after this, I'm on that.
Okay,
So
Thursday
noon,
noon, weekly. Okay, awesome.
Randy, I'll send you the link in your chat. You can
Okay, cool. Yeah, appreciate it. And also, Mitch, you have put together the EXP family tree. You're part of the group to put that together. It's incredibly impressive. If you haven't seen it or heard about it yet, it's expfamilytree.com, right?
Yeah, or on workplaces where most of us, none of our live stuff's done on the .com. All the stuff's live is done in workplace. We do training.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
We do training 4 or 5 days there's 4 or 5 trainings a week, every week in there. All contribution based, non-linear, meaning we don't care what line you're in.
That's what I love about it. It's broker agnostic, or it's team agnostic, I guess. It's really impressive. We had Rich Tomasini on the call recently.
Which is great.
And I'm going to commit to contributing to that as well, content wise. And, it's really special what you've built. How old is that now? The EXP family tree?
Just a little over a year.
Is that right? That's amazing.
I think we hit 6,500 people yesterday.
Yeah, 6,500 agents on there. And again, it's a neutral place. We promote it pretty regularly now.
We're getting ready to download all 1,900 of our agents and dump them in there. We have a lot of our agents in there, but we want to get more. And it's a great place to learn. We do how to recruit. We teach how to sell houses, KV Core. Right. We teach everything in there. I've stepped back from teaching in there. You run out of content at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so and that kind of was our goal when we started, is for the 4 of us to start it. Me, Hank, Elizabeth, and Rich start it, and then let others take the reins. And we didn't want to sit there for the next 5 years doing content. I just don't have time.
Right.
But I will say, for you guys, this is the best opportunity I've ever seen in my life. Not only did I give up my brokerage, which is about, was worth almost $4 million. I gave up my inside sales company. I gave up my 2 other companies that I had just to do this. And I don't kill myself. I work 1 hour a week for myself. And if you literally put 1 hour a week into this, you should do 1 hour a day. But if you did 1 hour a week, in 3 to 5 years, your life changes dramatically.
So pause. Think about that for a minute. 1 hour per week. Brent Go built his whole organization at 3 hours per week in the beginning, right? When you think of that, that's staggering, but he was laser focused on who he's communicating with, and he was laser focused on his list. You're making it sound way too easy, but it is actually easy. It's just hard to get into momentum with it, right? A lot of what we teach is just that momentum starting piece, right?
Yeah, the problem is, let's face it, none of us like people to say no to us, right? Yeah. And that's a hard thing to get over. But the reality is, when you got into real estate, you have people say no to you, right? You didn't know how to do it. Take the time to learn this and implement it, because the reality is, if something happens to you, something happens to me now. When I switched over, the biggest reason we switched over, that at 55, I was worried about dying. My dad died at 58, my mother died at 59. Most of my relatives died at 50. And I think, Randy, but most of you don't know, I have a granddaughter with a very rare disease. And luckily, we're blessed. She's doing great, and we're amazing, and we're very blessed. But she could have a seizure today, and that all changes. As a broker, I had no money. I made a living, between $100,000 and $200,000 a year from the brokerage. And now, because my wife is now licensed because I made her, because if I drop dead now, she pops into my spot.
Right.
And we're going to bring in like $1 million this year.
That's,
I mean,
I was gonna say, that's really amazing. And that is the life-changing, money for all of us, but most agents, they'll have a life-changing moment at $3,000 a month, 3, 4, $5,000 a month is life-changing, right? When it's residual, when it's can be relied on, it gives you freedom choices and time choices. And that's what I want for everybody.
You guys invest in property? I mean, maybe not. So, Than Merrill's part of our group, Fortune Builders.
Yeah.
It's a big investment coaching company. And so when Than was debating on coming over, I sat down and was out in San Diego with him at Pete's house. And I said, does the average person invest in property? Do they finance? He said, almost everybody finances the properties they buy. I go, great. And we do say making $200 a month is a pretty fair number. He said, yeah, pretty much. So at the end of the year, they make $2,400 as long as the AC doesn't break or the roof doesn't leak, blah, 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 etc. I go, think of each agent that you introduce to the company as an investment property. And you're going to earn up to $2,800 on each investment. But here's the difference. You can buy as many houses as you want, but they don't duplicate.
Yeah, the houses don't duplicate.
We duplicate. And so now he's like 600 of my 1,900, maybe more. So you just have to, it's so hard because there's no magic bullet. It really is as simple as I'm saying it, but you have to know that 90% of the people are going to say no.
Right. And they've heard it before. So you've got to understand the objection of that and get past it.
Yeah. And here's the objection, by the way. When they say that to you, say, oh yeah, I know all about EXP. I go, what do you know? Let's see what they say. Have you ever watched one of the videos? If you've not watched one of the videos, they know nothing about EXP. What they had, some schmuck went out there and threw up EXP all over them.
Yeah.
And got totally turned off.
Yeah.
So one of the objections I have to deal with when I talk to people, oh yeah, I'm not interested in EXP. I go, can I ask you why you're saying no? Well, I know all about EXP. Then I'll say that, these are friends, not friends, but relationships that I've built over the years.
Yeah.
And I say, one thing you should really not do is say no to something you don't know what you're saying no to.
Yeah.
Because what we find is when people actually open their brain a little bit and are open enough to at least watch the video, at least then you know what you're saying no to. So why don't you watch the video and then tell me no? And then I'll never call you again.
Yeah. And I say, hey, it may be business malpractice for you not to watch this information at least.
Right.
Well,
for me, so when I get on my three-way calls, that's where, depending on the age, like if I was talking to someone like, Randy, who's, 142 years old, I would be like, so, what's your plans in 5 years?
Right.
Where do you look to yourself? I had a Remax agent recently, because let's say our stock has gotten clobbered the past year, like everybody's stock, right?
Yeah, right.
Everybody's real estate stock has been clobbered. And, I could never join you. I go, why? He goes, well, you look at your stock. I go, oh yeah. How long do you Remax? He goes, 5 million. What do you average? He goes, 20 million a year. I go, and how much stock do you have for there?
Right.
I go, you would have $270,000 in stock. Nikita, I just saw your cat go by. And then we got a puppy.
Everybody's welcome.
That's a cat too. Christy got a cat. Yeah. Where's my puppy? I don't bring my puppy to the office. But so I said you'd have $270,000 in stock. Anyway, he joined last week.
Did he really? And I love the stock right now for new people coming in. I'm like envious that they're coming in now when the stock's at this price, right?
Absolutely. Because I tell people all the time, unless you're cashing in the stock, this is the best price. I don't want it to go up. I want it to stay right around where it is for the next 3 to 5 years, and I don't need the money, so it's good. And then in 3 to 5 years, you go up to 100.
Right. Right.
When we have, I
think like it's shorter than that personally, but yes.
Well, it's definitely short. I think you're going to see a big change over the next 12 months.
I agree. That's right where I feel, man. Well, Mitch, listen, I know you have another call. I appreciate you very much. 1,900 agents, and like you said, $1 million a year revenue share business is pretty incredible.
And the best part about it, just so you guys understand, it's not money for today that I care about. It's money for whatever happens to my my family, right? Whatever happens to me. It's like worse than dying, right? Would be, especially for me who won't shut up, is having a massive stroke and can't function.
Yeah.
What happens to your family? And so when you have to, if you need a motivation, right? So for me, it's my granddaughter, right?
Right.
So when I get uncomfortable, my favorite line in life is be uncomfortable with comfortable. When I get uncomfortable or comfortable and I need to go to the next level, it's my granddaughter every day of the week. And when you find that thing in your life, it works. And I'll give you one more tip on doing this. And then I'll let you guys play. I'm gonna put that, by the way, I'm gonna put that link to that thing on Thursdays in the chat.
Okay,
chat box
cool.
right now.
Thank you.
I just look for everybody, so it's in there. So, I've had 3 major events in my life that were the most painful events in my life. I got burned when I was 17 years old and almost died in a fire. My mother dying, my father dying. 3 most painful things in my life. And my parents dying was worse than the burns. So what I've learned is I've learned to teach people how to cultivate pain into progress. And what do I mean by that? So you're sitting there and you're going, I don't want to call my friend Tom because he might yell at me. He's not going to yell at you, but he's just going to say no, right?
Right.
How much is that compared to my mother dying?
Ooh.
Nothing. So utilize your pain to move your life forward. You have to move forward. If you're not leveling up, Glenn Sanford and I had this conversation in Puerto Rico a couple months ago. He's always trying to, the guy's worth $1 billion, and it's not about the money. He's just trying to level up in growth. And you've always got to try to level up, because when you come to that stagnant line, it's over.
Yeah.
You should never be stagnant. I mean, 61 years old, I'm still trying to level up.
Right.
And I'll level up until I'm 140.
It's possible nowadays. We're going to reach it.
Yeah. I got like 2 more minutes. Anybody has any questions you want to ask real quick?
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody, go ahead and take your mic off or text in, whatever you like. We have one question. Rather than saying recruit, what do you say? Rather than saying recruit.
Oh, so I introduce.
Introduce. Okay.
If you introduce 2 people a year over the next 3 years,
okay,
you'll earn up to $36,000 referral fees.
Okay, cool.
So introduce and referral fees.
Okay, cool. Kelly said, "Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate that." A lot of people saw. We appreciate that. You know what I really got from this? I mean, you said a couple things, but become a professional inviter. And really become really great at that. Make that your niche of expertise. And then this is way simpler than people make it out to be. Just don't make it more difficult.
Yeah, don't be attached to the outcome.
Oh, that's a great one. Don't be attached to the outcome, because that is when we get sweaty hands and we get weird about it, is when we get attached to the outcome.
People are going to say no. Assume they're going to say no. Don't worry about it. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a crack. One more quick tip: open houses. Go to open houses.
I was just thank you for bringing that up, because that's what we're training this week on, is open houses. That's a huge opportunity.
Go to open houses. There's agents sitting there. I have a video on my YouTube channel, how to master open houses. Say, my friend Mitch has this great video on master. You should really watch it. Get the conversation going. Look for the cracks. All right, guys, gotta run.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. Thanks for contributing to us.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording.